Time magazine named Ebola fighters the 2014 Person of the Year, and I want to read a little insert from Time magazine. Ebola is a war and a warning. The global health system is nowhere close to strong enough to keep us safe from infectious disease. The rest of the world can sleep at night because a group of men and women are willing to stand and fight. For tireless acts of courage and mercy, for buying the world time to boost its defenses, for risking, for persisting, for sacrificing and saving. The Ebola fighters are Time's 2014 Person of the Year. I'd like to introduce Dr. Paul Dhillon, who is an Ebola fighter. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, my first question is, what the heck were you doing in Sierra Leone?
I think it was a combination of factors. I'd done a lot of training, kind of academic training in the field, and the opportunity kind of arose. I received a call from a friend who was there on the ground as one of the trainers, and they were at kind of a crisis mode. This is at the beginning of December, and they just really needed people that could kind of drop everything and go. And I had freed up time with my schedule. Saskatchewan Medical Association, who I work for, were really kind of good about giving me the time off on very short notice, and I ended up there on January 3rd.
So when you got there, what was the first thing? What happened? What was the first thing that you did?
It was a long flight. We were all pretty tired when we got in. It was actually my second time in Sierra Leone. I'd been there probably 6-7 years ago, before all of this, after the Civil War was over, and we kind of got into Sierra Leone. We were picked up at the airport. It was late at night, and then we were kind of quarantined right away in our hotel, so we weren't allowed to kind of go out. We very quickly were kind of reinforced with the no-touch policy, so you meet someone and you don't shake hands, and it was a bit odd, and I made a mistake the first day at breakfast where I saw someone I knew and I kind of put my hand on their shoulder and they were like, whoa, whoa. So it took a while to get used to that, and then probably 24 or 36 hours in the capital, and then we were kind of did a briefing in Freetown, and then we were taken off to our complex.
Now, I understand that there were 25,000 cases, 10,000 people died. Where are we at currently with Ebola?
I think the situation is much more stable in Guinea and Liberia. Sierra Leone was a bit late to the crisis and is now taking a bit longer. They struggled definitely a little bit more than perhaps Liberia did in terms of controlling the epidemic. I just got a text message from one of my friends that's still there, and they said they're aiming and hoping to start shutting down some of the centers this next week and moving into kind of more of a containment monitoring phase. So I think we're almost there. We were really hopeful when we were there. We had about 4 days in our hospital where we didn't have any Ebola patients, and every day at like 6:15 you'd get the update from the National Surveillance Center, and you'd be checking their kind of Facebook update at, I think it was 6:15 or 5:15 every day, and just hoping, and everyone would sit and wait and hope for a 0 day. We didn't see it when we were there. We got down to 3 new cases in the country, but they've had the occasional 0 day now. So I think, end of the summer, as long as nothing kind of goes wrong, or it should be over, I think, in Sierra Leone.
Do you have any plans on returning?
You're only allowed to go on kind of 2 6-week tours as a physician. So tour probably isn't the best word maybe, but I think I would if I could, but I recently got engaged and I have to kind of ask the boss now if I'm able to go. That was kind of part of the consideration before I went is, would I get engaged and then go? And I thought that was kind of unfair if anything kind of untoward happened to put someone else in that position, but I've returned. And so now I think I have even more respect for those that went, who have kids, who have been married and have to leave kind of possibly a family behind. So that was definitely part of the consideration. If it happened again, I would probably go. It'd be a tough discussion, and you have to make sure you have all your kind of affairs and everything in order before you go. But I think that's why everyone who was there went. I think they all went into medicine because they wanted to help people, and they wanted to help people in need. And this is one of those situations where people were in the most need.
Yeah. So now that you've had this experience, how is life different for you?
It hasn't been too different. I think the quarantine, or the self-monitoring as it were, was a bit difficult. But in terms of my medical practice, it's really nice to get back and have to think a little more and think widely about what patients are presenting with. It definitely affects me a little bit when dealing with children, because before leaving Saskatchewan, I don't think I'd had to go through the experience of seeing a child kind of die in Saskatchewan in my training or even in my practice. So that was definitely my threshold for kind of transferring patients or asking for specialist help, that's definitely changed a little bit. And I think over time, when I kind of process those feelings and the emotions, and I think it'll kind of go back to normal eventually. I hope it does. But it's definitely changed how I deal with, I think, kids.
Good. Well, I want to thank you for taking your time. Dr. Paul Dhillon is also a CBC under 40.
Oh.
I'm waiting for Access 7's Fabulous 50, but thank you, Dr. Paul Dhillon. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.